Awareness is the moment that everything changes. Awareness allows you to see where you're at and where you need to get to. Last time we talked about the clay, how you're molded from the beginning, how your environment shapes your image, whether it's your family, your culture, your neighborhood. I'm using this clay as an analogy to portray your image. Everything just presses into it. And as you get older, you become a man, you have this false idea that your identity is based off that mold, and that's just not the case because you can always reshape it. It's just clay. Awareness is the moment that that clay softens. This is the moment that something shifts. There's a moment every man reaches, usually quietly, where something starts to feel off. It's not dramatic, it's not a breakdown, it's just a pause. And you start noticing patterns. You start realizing you keep ending up in the same situations. You have the same results, the same frustrations, and you can't blame bad luck anymore. That's just making excuses at that point. That moment is awareness, and awareness is powerful for one reason. It softens this clay, it softens your idea of yourself. This clay only hardens when it's left untouched. As long as you never question who you are, how you move, or why you react the way that you do, the shape stays fixed, and it becomes harder and harder the more that you just let time pass by and you just let it be what it is. This is why you see older men that are still stuck in the same mindset that they had when they were 18 to 25. They never got out of it. They always just took it for what it was, and they just decided that this is just how it is. They were comfortable with that shape, and at that point it just became a hard model, a solid model that could not be reshaped anymore. Awareness interrupts momentum. So this is why it's important to start questioning it, have awareness for it, because once you get older, the older that you get, the more that you let time pass, the harder that this model becomes. That's why there's that saying that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, is because they're so stubborn. They already became so stagnant in the mental model that they have that it's very difficult to get them out of that headspace. You can't teach them new tricks at that point. But awareness is what creates that space between conditioning and choice. You're not being asked to reject your past, you're being asked to finally see it clearly, because a lot of what men call personality is just conditioning that was unquestioned for years. The part that frustrates me the most is that most men defend a shape that they did not choose. Here's the uncomfortable part. Most men move through life in a shape that they did not choose. And instead of questioning it, they defend it. They justify it. They say things like, that's just how I am. It's always been like this. It's always been that way. I'm not built like that. And what they're really saying is that this shape feels familiar, and familiarity feels safe, but safe does not mean optimal. Most men mistake familiarity for identity, and as long as they do, nothing changes. One thing I can tell you with 1000% certainty is nothing good grows in the comfort zone. You stay stuck, you don't grow. There's not that adversity, that challenge that forces you to evolve and become better. So jumping into strategy, high value men behave differently. They don't assume identity, they examine it. They treat who they are as something to be studied, not something to blindly protect. They look at the mold and they decide what to keep, they decide what no longer serves them, and they reshape it intentionally. And this is not overnight. It's not emotionally, it's deliberately. That's the difference. Every environment trains men differently. Some reward dominance and resilience. Some reward restraint and professionalism. Others reward adaptability, social calibration, or physical capability. None of these environments explain the rules. They enforce them quietly, through access, through opportunity, through who gets invited in and who gets left out. If you don't adapt, you're not punished, you're bypassed. I saw this clearly when I entered business school. Suddenly, appearance and comportment weren't optional, they were prerequisites. Image signaled seriousness, reliability, future potential. Before anyone knew how smart you were, they decided whether you were worth listening to. When I was in college, I got into a very competitive program. It was called the Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship in the Bauer College of Business at the University of Houston. And I was competing with a lot of business students to get into this program, and only around 30 to 35 students were admitted. And I was fortunate to have made it. I got chosen, I made it. But when I got into the program, guys, it got very, very competitive. Everyone was sharp in that program. Everyone was well spoken. Everyone had great ideas for their business ventures in the future. And when I was in the program, our professor, shout out to my professors, bro, because even though they were very tough, demanding professors, they really polished me up, man. They took that mold. I was just like a lump of clay at that point, and they really just molded me into a better person. It was a lot of work. They got on my ass a lot, and at the time I thought it was just like, damn, I think they're just picking on me. But with time I started to realize that that's what I needed at that point. I needed a mentor. I needed mentors that would position me in a better spot, that would mold me and help me get to a better position in my life to accomplish the goals that I wanted at the time. So back then I was in my early 20s, and I remember that the students that understood this faster, they stood out in a better way and they excelled and advanced a lot faster. The ones who resisted it, they stalled. They did not advance as fast, even when they were capable. The lesson wasn't that one image was better than the other. The lesson was simple. Misalignment always costs something. That's the key word, guys, misalignment. A lot of them were misaligned because they didn't understand that environment. It was a competitive academic environment where we were all competing with each other. So we had to bring forth the best image possible, the best soft skills, the best ideas, the best presentation skills. You had to bring forth the best in you when it came to business. And a lot of my colleagues, some of my colleagues, and I was at that point too, would struggle with some of these aspects. That's why it was very important. And the ones that got it faster were the ones that were doing the best in the class. Bring it all home. Awareness doesn't change, but it makes change possible. Once you see the mold, you can stop defending it, you can stop explaining it, and you can finally start shaping it. And that's the importance. That's why this is the beginning stage. You have to start to analyze where you're at, where you've been, and where you want to get to. Once you have that awareness, it starts to soften that clay, and now we can mold it in the position that we want going forward. At this point, you have to start thinking about what your goals are, what stage you are in life, and make a self-analysis of your own model. You're walking your own race at this point. If you want to go deeper into this, just stay tuned for the rest of these videos. Also check out the videos that I've already dropped. I have them all on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. It's under J Medina. And if you want to work through this one-on-one, you can reach out directly to me. Just follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, and we can see if we can work together one-on-one. As always, stay fresh and stay confident.